Ooh, nice.
So.
All right, we are currently live, so I'll go ahead and get started. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today for this workshop. I'm part of the Try Creative Healing Arts Initiative. Alicia is also here. And our artist today is Elazar. He's going to be teaching us the art of making tea, chai tea. It's very umbrella. Yeah, go ahead and take it away, Elazar, whenever you're ready.
All right, cool. Well, howdy everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining me. I'm really, really excited about this opportunity. Tea, chai, clove oranges, all this stuff. It's really close to my heart. So it's really, it's exciting that I get to take a break from the normal business that I'm running around in town doing to just, relax a little bit. We're gonna play with some herbs and spices. We're gonna put some cloves and some oranges, just kind of relax and, get in the holiday spirit. So I figure before we get too far into it, we can do some brief introductions if we want for the folks that are here, just so we all kind of get into the relaxed spirit. Oh, hello. I've got an assistant here with me. Hi. So this is Jackie.
Hello.
I'm Elazar. And I guess we could go around and do names and also tell a story, maybe about a time that tea has meant something in our past, or a time where, we've seen that tea was important to somebody else, if not to ourselves. So would anybody like to go first, or should I lead this one off?
I can go ahead and go first. My name is Poppy, and I love tea because it helps me relax every morning. And I wake up a little bit jittery, and tea really helps me calm down. So it's very, very important to me personally.
Excellent. Jackie, maybe introduce yourself.
I'm Jackie, and I enjoy tea very much. I usually use it a lot if I have any illness or stomach problems. Tea helps me calm down. It's a good nightly ritual for us over here.
I could go next. My name's Tiffany. I like tea. I was a barista for a really long time, and we made tea too. And some people are like, "No, I drink coffee only," but tea's really good too. I don't know, it's really nice to find different varieties. There's just so many different kinds too. So I don't know, tea's cool. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. My mom had a tea shop when I was younger, so I really got to see a lot of different pieces of tea culture and how it meant a lot to different people. And it's such a romantic thing, I think, tea, because it's there's so many different layers to engage with it. There's the tea bags that you can get at the store, and then there's so much room to grow about it. But even so, just there's so many different flavors and just ways to enjoy it. My grandma used to make tea when I was a kid, so I just remember being little tiny with a big cup of tea. So, yeah. Again, Elazar. Hello. I see we have somebody else joining us here.
Hello.
If you'd like to share your name and maybe a story from your life about a time that tea has, been relieving, or something important about tea for you.
My name is Favorite Aisha, and something that's important to me, or a story?
Yeah, just a story about tea from your life, just anything.
Tea?
Yeah.
I don't really drink tea that much, but probably lemon tea. I drink that all the time. I put soy milk and a little bit of honey. It's really good.
Yeah. Absolutely. Very cool. I see there's a couple other participants. Does anybody?
My name is Bianca. I started drinking tea more often the past few years, learning about it, ancient herbs, which I really love. I like using it for during or after meditation, ceremonies, such like that. But also, during, you know, like women's cycles and stuff like that. I've learned a lot to mix the herbs and which ones are beneficial, during like certain cycles and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot of health benefits to tea all around.
Yeah, there is, just inflammation, different types, just learning more different herbs just opened up a whole new thing besides just tea bags.
Do you have any particular favorite herbs that you use?
I like to use like rose, cacao, orange, mugwort,
Oh yeah.
nettle, raspberry leaf, different. I like playing too. It's the flavors and stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's a lot of what we're going to be doing here today, as well as have you guys all gotten kits? Cool. So we could take a look inside those kits now. Maybe it's a good time to just start seeing what we have in front of us. That was actually a really good transition. Unless is Alicia here?
She might be driving.
Okay. Well then we'll just proceed. So if you guys take a look in your kits, I'll bring this tray over here. So I've got I've got here the different herbs and spices that we have in the kits. I just put them in these little containers so that we can look at them all together. And I would encourage you all to take out the tins that you have in your kit and start to just take a look at what we have in there. Hopefully everything stayed sealed. We put little stickers on there. So what I was able to do was give everybody some coriander, some anise seed, some Assam black tea, cinnamon chips, some rose petals, some ginger, dried ginger root that's been cut, orange peel, and a bunch of cloves. So we have a variety of different things in front of us. We have a tea, something that is literally a tea. I'll talk more about what I mean by that in a second. We have, some flowers, dried flowers. We have roots, seeds, spices, fruit rinds. So, one thing to just take note of, I think, something that always gets me when I'm at this moment is thinking about how many different places all of these different materials are coming from. Like each, the cinnamon is coming from somewhere else. It's grown, it's, harvested, the ginger, and there's just something kind of magical, I think, about how all of these different ingredients have been, cultivated and sourced for, hundreds and thousands of years. People have been keeping just, farming alive to keep these spices for what? Really? Because they're delicious. At the end of the day, like we wouldn't bother keeping certain things in cultivation if we didn't cook with them or have other uses for them. So sometimes it's just striking, I think, how, something as simple as brewing a cup of tea, actually there's, whole industries around it. And so I think it could be helpful to talk a little bit about what makes a tea, what makes a chai, right? So we're gonna start with this, the Assam black tea. If everybody feels up for it, we could even just brew a glass of black tea right now to get ourselves started. So I believe everybody should have tea bags as well. So I'd recommend taking a teaspoon and scooping a teaspoon of that black tea. Thank you. I've got this one, which is like a fancy little one, but this is exactly the same as a teaspoon. It's just like for tea. So I'll just take a scoop, put it in my tea bag, and that's it. And so there's something a little deceptive about what's happening here, because because we're making a tea bag, but this is immediately a higher quality drink that we're going to be able to make than if you just went to the store to buy a tea bag. And that has to do with the way tea is manufactured. So I'm going to get some water boiling for this, and then we'll talk about that. Yeah, sure. Use this mug. All right. So I've got my tea bag in my mug. It's all ready. Got water boiling. So the way that tea is harvested is with gigantic conveyor belts that are mesh. And so the tea is picked from the plant, and then they run it on these big conveyor belts with the mesh. And everything that stays on the conveyor belt becomes what they call loose leaf tea. And everything that falls through the mesh, the little dusty stuff, that's what they put into the tea bags. So what you're ending up with in tea bags, a lot of times it's coming from the same places, but it's a byproduct of the tea harvesting as opposed to the product itself. And so, perfect. Yeah, we're gonna pour some water over our tea bag. This is black tea, so we're gonna be able to use boiling water. In fact, everything we have here, we're gonna be able to brew with boiling water. There are green teas and white teas, which you're going to want to brew with less than boiling water. And just to briefly explain what that is, because what we're talking about at this point is specifically tea. And by that I mean it's a plant called Camellia sinensis. It's just one species of plant. And so green tea, black tea, white tea are all the same plant. And the only thing that makes them different is where they're grown. In the same way that wine is, champagne, if it comes from the Champagne region, or, Lodi's got its whole thing with the wines, the regions matter. And so what we have here is called Assam black tea, and it's from the Assam region of India. So what you'll notice if you actually take a look at it, I encourage you to, take a look at it, touch it a little bit, smell it. We're going to be brewing this tea for about 4 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, just so everyone's aware. If you want to, you could set a timer and get it going really precise, but I don't always do that. I just kind of like to make the tea. You'll see that the tea is dried, obviously, but it's also in smaller pieces, right? It's a little, they're like little shriveled things. And so that's because these leaves are picked off the tea plant and then they're crushed and dried. So the crushing process is what kind of leaves them like this, and it's black because it oxidized. So the oxidation process is actually at the heart of what separates white tea from green tea from black tea. If the leaf is just picked off the plant and dried, it's a white tea. If it's picked off the plant and slightly crushed, then partially oxidized, it's a green tea. And then if it's fully crushed and oxidized, it's a black tea. There's also there's a classification of tea that they call oolong, which is like somewhere between a green tea and a black tea. But we don't need to get too bogged down in all of the details. If you get farther into tea, there'll be many resources available for you to figure out the temperatures and the brewing times for whatever you have specifically. Yeah. So just gonna be kind of taking a second to smell the tea as it's brewing, kind of hang out with it. Does anybody have some, want to describe any of the experiences that they're having with the black tea?
It smells really nice.
Yeah. The Assam tea specifically is a really full-bodied black tea. This is actually the black tea that's used as a base for chai blends, masala chai blends. Like if you're going to go to an Indian restaurant or something, they're going to give you tea. It's very likely that it's going to be an Assam black tea and a combination of spices.
Like something kind of floral about it too.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and just start sipping on this tea. The tea bag's still in there, and that's fine. It's going to continue steeping as it sits in there. So if we start sipping a little early, you know, it's fine. You wait until the flavor gets to where you like it, and then you can pull the tea bag out. Or you could just leave it in there and see how it rides. So often people pull out tea bags after a set amount of time because the flavors that get released after 4 or 5 minutes with black teas start to get increasingly bitter. A lot of times people think that they don't like green tea because it's so bitter, but that usually just means that they're brewing it in water that's too hot or for too long. So I think I'm gonna actually pull my tea bag out. Can I have the little tray? Thank you. So another piece of the tea experience for me, in case you haven't noticed, is handmade ceramics. That's just another exciting piece of it, just total engagement. So Glenda Burns, local artist, part of the Potters Guild, made this. And it's just like a little tray. I like to put my tea bags onto the little tray as opposed to, leaving them there or putting them in another mug. It's just a happy little thing to do. Yeah. So this has got caffeine in it. This doesn't have a lot of caffeine in it, not like a cup of coffee. But the tea plant itself, Camellia sinensis, it does have caffeine in it. So it also has some other chemicals, and I would call them chemicals, but that's not a nice sounding word. But it's got something called L-theanine in it, which helps you relax also. So there's sort of an interesting kind of balance that happens when you drink tea, where it wakes you up and it energizes you, but it also calms down your body and helps you stay relaxed. That's why a lot of people drink tea and they feel like it makes them more focused and engaged, whereas sometimes coffee makes you feel like, whoa, like blasted out. The rest of the things that we have here on our tray are not actually tea. Everything else is an herb or a spice or a flower or a rind, as we were talking about. So the real difference between tea and chai is it's all semantic, really. Here in America, we have a distinction where tea is like this, and chai is like something spicy. But if you travel around the world, you find that it's just a regional thing. If you go to, say, Turkey, if you go to Istanbul, they'll call this cup of tea chai, right? Or if you go to, Japan and you get a cup of spiced something, they may still be calling that a tea because there's a language difference. And it's actually, we won't get too far into this, but it's very, very interesting to research into the history of it and how tea trade created this map of the languages. So like one place it was tea, one place it was chai, and then it's just spread around the whole world as 2 different words. So the way that I try to use it is like if it's got actual tea in it, the tea plant, I'll call it a tea. If it's not got tea in it, I'll usually call it a chai, or I'll call it like an herbal blend, right? Because chai just kind of has the people expect it to be spicy or something, right? So like you don't want to mess with people's expectations too hard when you brew them a cup of tea. Does anybody have any thoughts on how the tea is? Are we enjoying it? Is it too bitter? Milk and honey, anybody?
It's really good. It's good plain, easy to drink.
Yeah.
If anyone has any thoughts and they don't want to speak out loud, they can also put them in the chat and I will read them out loud for them. Also, welcome, Jessica. Speaking of that, someone just put, Jessica just said in the chat, "Hi folks, sorry I'm late. Thanks for hosting. I have Camilla sensis growing along with many other herbs I use for different blends. Should you want to check them out, come to the farm, 433 South Ventura."
That's amazing. Hi, Jessica. It's good to see you.
Hi guys, I'm driving, so my video is off and I don't want to text too much, but I'm really grateful for this class. Thank you for hosting it and delivering my package.
Well, we're more than happy that you're able to join us. It's amazing that you've got tea growing out there too. What a special thing.
Very much so. When I purchased it, I was really excited and nervous. I feel like a little bit like a scientist. I'm not sure if it's going to do well. The winter makes me scared because I think it likes a little bit more of a tropical or warmer climate, but they're doing okay. So we'll see.
How exciting. That's very cool. There's a tea house in Lodi that we got to visit before everything was all shut down. And the guy there, he travels to China and he like goes to different tea farms and he meets the individual tea plants and he finds his favorite tea plants and brings the tea back from those specific plants. So it's to be able to engage with the flavors and that directly is really exciting.
Yeah, I bet that's wonderful. I would love to do that someday.
Yeah, you should go meet him when everything opens back up. It's in that little alley up in Lodi. It's a Chinese tea tasting house. Yeah. What do you think about the tea?
I think it's really nice and light. It is pretty floral. It feels classic to me.
Classic, yeah.
Classic tea.
So tea bags, like the Lipton tea, is going to be a blend of teas from different regions usually. So it's very likely, that maybe the flavors of this Assam, are reminiscent of some of the tea bags that we've had in the past. So the next fun piece of playing with all this stuff is when you start to mix the herbs. So what we're going to do right now is take our black tea, we're going to put it aside, and we're going to say hello to all of the other spices that we have. So again, we've got, let's bring you guys back down. Hello. We've got cinnamon chips. We've got ginger root. We've got anise seed. We've got coriander. We've got orange peel. We've got rose petal. We've got cloves. So let's all take a few minutes and just sort of look at all of them, investigate each one, smell it, put it in your hands a little bit, get a sense of what the object is, think about where it came from. Think about what you might like to try to blend together. I mean, there's a lot of different recipes that you could find online. There's a lot of different recipes that, can be invented. There's really no right or wrong answer. I think a lot of times there's a desire to not want to try something because what if it's not going to be good? But part of the fun of all this is like, just go for it. Just have a little fun with it. Feel free to try the flavors, because that's really how you start to learn about what each spice, herb, or root can do. So I'm gonna stop talking for a little bit, just put on a little music, and we're all just gonna smell and look at things for a bit.
I have a few more messages in the live chat I'd like to read out loud.
Okay.
Rasta says, much love, Buddha, with emojis. Joe Mo says, hi, Judy and Katie joining late. Thanks for the kit. Are we putting all of the seasonings together in a bag or just the tea? That's a question.
Well, at first, I would recommend just trying to brew 1 scoop of the black tea in a tea bag. And now we are looking at different spices, and we're going to make our own blends next. So we're going to pick, I would say, 2 or 3 of the herbs and spices that we have in front of us to mix into a tea bag together. If you want to do all of them, you can, but I can't guarantee that that's going to taste amazing. It won't be bad. So does anybody have any thoughts that they'd like to share about anything here?
The orange peel, you can kind of eat it and it's like candy.
I'm a big fan of the anise seeds myself. There's something about it. When I was a kid, I never really liked licorice, but ever since I met anise, now it's like, oh, hello. I think we can be friends.
It's weird because like I can't stand licorice candy, but I love licorice tea.
Mm. Well then, trying with the anise might be a really good place. Seeing how the other things affect it will be very fun. I love the anise in the tea. Does anybody else have any feedback on the things that they're smelling? Anything standing out?
I was just commenting on the licorice smell of the anise too, but I just love the roses too. It reminds me of like walking in a rose garden, smelling all the different roses.
Joe Mo says in the chat, anise is like licorice. Very nice.
Absolutely. For what it's worth, if at Indian restaurants, sometimes they have like those little colored things that you can scoop and eat at the doorway. I mean, I guess they don't anymore, but they used to. That's candied aniseed, is what that is. Coriander. Maybe you guys are noticing that's not smelling like too much right now. but it's got a really great flavor once we start to brew it. So I'd like to open for another couple of minutes to see if there's other feedback that people have on any of these. And then I think we'll get into brewing our next cup of tea, of chai this time. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Elazar.
Well,
Which cup would you like next? Yes.
again, picking weird mugs is a big part of the fun. You know, tea is a ritual. And, you know, the power and the beauty of a ritual is that we can choose how little or how much we want. You know, you can engage with it, you know, to your own benefit. And I think that's really, that's one of the most magical parts about it. You know, the tea experience can be a personal one, or it can be a social one. Like in a lot of cultures, the very first thing that happens when you enter somebody's home or you enter somebody's store is they offer you a cup of tea. In fact, it's very rude to not offer somebody a cup of tea, and you know, in other cultures. So it's just I don't know. I always find myself just caught up reflecting in all of the different ways that people sort of experience, again, just this moment here, right? Of like just like about to brew a cup of tea, you know, is it for me? Is it for a group? Is it, you know, is it in a teapot? Like, how is it going down? So what I'm gonna do now is pick two, and I'm gonna take a half scoop of each and put it into my tea bag. If you want to do three, try to do a third of a scoop. When we make blends that we like, you know, when we figure out what we're into, it helps to make larger amounts at a time. So you'll mix like a pound and then shake the whole thing up, and then you end up with a more uniform flavor. So right now we're just sort of playing around, you know, getting the sense of the, you know, the experience. What don't you pick?
Oh gosh. Orange ginger.
Okay, orange ginger.
Lisa Orr on display.
Yeah, Lisa. Orange. Uh-oh. It's a bad scooper. Ginger. So I'm going to put a little extra ginger in there because I know I like ginger. Tea is a really great place to, you know, think about what your own preferences are as well. Some people prefer a stronger cup of tea. Some people prefer a weaker cup of tea. You know, neither way is better or worse. You know, one is certainly more economical, but you can't go wrong. We're gonna want to use freshly boiled water for this. Not like you have to pour out the old water, but just, you know, boil it again. Everything that we're dealing with here is gonna brew best in boiling water. And now that we're not using the tea plant, we can't really overbrew it. And I think that's another really exciting part about spice blends and herbal blends. I mean, personally, I'll leave that thing brewing for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you know, I'll go watch a show, I'll take a shower or something, and then I'll come out and I just have like this really killer pot of tea. Although what you do find is that the flavors release differently over different amounts of time. So for example, cinnamon is going to keep putting off flavor for a while. So like I've got some blends that I like that have cinnamon in it, but if I leave it for too long, then the cinnamon just kind of starts to overpower a lot of the other nuanced flavors. So, you know, we live and we learn. We drink another cup of tea. And so as we get this one brewing, I figure we can kind of transition over to our oranges. Everybody has oranges and the cloves. We'll kind of play with that next. Excellent. So, can I ask what other people chose?
I tried anise and the rose petals together.
Mm. Yeah, we picked the ginger and the orange, in case you didn't hear. It's pretty exciting.
I love ginger. Ginger's so good.
Yeah. Ginger is great for digestion also. Like if I have a stomach ache, actually one of my favorite things to do is ginger, lemongrass, and anise seed. They're all really good for your digestion. I'll move things around.
Sounds really good.
Would anybody else like to share the blend that they've made? The combo they're trying? If not, it's okay.
In the chat, Jill Mo post orange and rose and anise.
That would be nice. A nice sweet cup of tea. And so it's it's part of the reason that I picked these 8 ingredients for us to play with today is because I thought that we'd be able to go in a lot of different directions. You know, if you pick these 2, it takes you in a very different space. And if you do these 2, there's sort of unique flavors that we can get out of these combinations, as well as really straight ahead ones. And yeah, so I'm glad to hear that you're going in that direction. That sounds good.
Zesty.
So does everybody have their orange? Have fun. So what you should find in there is like a tea bag that's stuffed full of cloves, because I wanted to make sure that everyone had enough cloves to make a clove orange properly. Has anybody made clove oranges before? Well, it's super fun. It's a really relaxing, meditative sort of activity, and then it smells great afterwards. You know, it's good for the holiday season. Yes, Alicia says that's what's up. For some folks, this is like a family tradition. I know that in some cultures, this is like a really important part of the holiday experience. I didn't find it like that. Somebody just was at a farmer's market that I was friends with them, and they sold necklaces and stuff, and we'd hang out. And she had clove oranges. I was a little kid at the time. This was back when my mom had the tea shop, and so that's part of like all these things kind of connect together in my brain. And I was like, oh, we'll share it all at the same time. So we're gonna make a clove orange, and I've got like a cooking show. I've got some examples here of what our clove oranges could look like. This is a really nice, I would call this like a traditional kind of way of doing clove orange, being that an even spacing, and then you can make them closer or farther together. This is a non-traditional clove orange. Just goes to show that just as making tea, nobody's going to tell you you're doing it right or wrong. And if they do, find another room to hang out in. So I don't know that I need to over-explain how to stick a clove into an orange, but you just kind of put the clove in the orange.
Well, it has a stem.
That's true. That's true. The anatomy of a clove. Where are we? Oh yeah. That side does not go into the orange. This side goes into the orange. It's piercing, if you will. So I'm just gonna start cloving my orange. And while we're doing this, I'd really again, I'd encourage you to think about the materiality of what this is, There's it's interesting. I feel like I can
Yeah.
feel like I can experience like the thickness of the rind of the orange doing this. The oils from the clove start to get on your fingers, so you'll notice if you smell your fingers, they're gonna start to smell nice. And then part of the magic of the clove orange is that the cloves are going to absorb and diffuse the juice from the orange. So you end up, what we're doing really is making like an aroma diffuser, basically. Um, so yeah, it's fun.
By the way, Favar in the chat said cinnamon and rose was their choice.
Great combo. Cinnamon and rose, yes. And so, while we're
So
closing,
pleasant to listen to.
so while we're cloving our orange, feel free to start sipping on the herbal tea that you have. Again, we can't overbrew it, so we're just gonna, just sip on it. Just kind of experience how the flavors are changing. As it gets stronger. If you think you're happy with it, feel free to pull the tea bag out. But honestly, I usually leave my herbal tea bags in till the end. I have a little one. I'm gonna make a little one. This is a great family activity also, just buy a bag of oranges, big sack of cloves. They sell these things like the nothing. And then it's a good time for everybody. This is a lemon, actually.
This is so lemon. That's that deceptive lemon.
Yeah. This is a clove lemon. Lemon is juicy.
I can get you one.
Oh, this smells really good though.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna try to play a little music. If it's offensive to anybody or the audio isn't working properly, just let me know.
La chanson que tu veux chanter, c'est une chanson qui nous ressemble. verrai par-dessus le sable, les pas des amants désunis. Since you ran away, days grow long, and soon I hear long winter song. But I miss you most of all, my darling. When autumn leaves start to fall, when autumn leaves start to fall, when autumn leaves start to ce souvenir, je te rends des souvenirs, tu sais, j'en ai tellement, puisqu'on repart toujours à zéro, la peine de changer trop. Ce souvenir, je te
Jackie, I love your henna.
Oh, thank you.
Fabulous.
Chili did it.
Oh, she's so cute. I love it. It's the bomb.
Aw.
Je rêve les yeux ouverts, ça me fait du bien. Ça ne va pas plus loin.
It's a weak clove.
It is. It's teeny.
Je fais pas voir
So baby.
derrière puisque Momo says they love the music choice. My daughter wants to add orange cloves to our holiday traditions. I forgot about these. Made them in Girl Scouts growing up.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. One of the main reasons I thought that this workshop would be so right, so fitting, is because there's a lot of reality that's just missing in our day to day. You know, everything feels contrived, or between a screen or something. The smells are just not as bright. Everybody's feeling so confused, and I think the world is getting difficult for everyone. And at the end of the day, we all control our own worlds just enough to find peace if we can. And there's nothing better than just slowing all the way down, just thinking about a little bit of nature, smelling some nice things, getting your hands a little dirty with it. It's okay, it's real, like there's something I think about the meditative experience of the clove orange also, where time sort of gets pushed and pulled a little bit. It's really pleasant. The multiples of it, you do one and then you do two and then suddenly you have a line to do. It's a metaphor really for, engaging in our reality, or like trying to, climb the ladder, some people call it, I got a few favorite clothes too.
Yeah.
And especially when when we talk about trying to make a room smell good, where does your mind go? To the store, probably, to buy candles, or to buy spray, or to buy something that you plug into the wall. You know what I mean? Like they've got us brainwashed into a product mindset. Even when it comes to making tea, like how do you know what is your favorite thing? We just go to the store and we buy a blend that they've told us is going to be good. Everyone's taste is different, and everybody has the right to discover that for themselves. And there's a million natural ways to make things that smell nice, things that taste nice. We're just kind of going down one road. But these are great. You can put them everywhere. I like to keep one in my car, so when the vent is on, it like blows the smell all around. Put one in the bathroom.
I was gonna say I'm totally gonna leave this in my car after I'm done.
Yeah.
I have like a big orange tree at my grandfather's house too, so I'm gonna like make a bunch.
Yeah. These make great gifts also. And to talk about gift giving, right? Like you could go spend money on a candle, or put a half hour into a clove orange, and it'll mean more.
Have you ever tried to make a clove lemon?
I'm doing that right now, actually. You caught me.
A lemon?
Yeah, it's an orange lemon.
Oh, snap.
It's pretty exciting. This is it's juicier than the oranges, actually, so I'm making a real mess of myself. But other than that,
That smells really good too, though.
I've never done a clove lime. That's uncharted territory.
I'd try that.
Cool. Oh, that'd be fun. I'm gonna go wash my hands, excuse me. I got lemon. So meanwhile, has anybody gotten a chance to taste the tea that they're brewing, the herbal blend?
If the stars were mine, I'd give them all to you. I'd pluck them down right from the
I had cloves fall into my blend, but it's still very good.
So when others would have rain clouds, you'd have only sunny
Yeah.
days.
But
If the stars were
the
mine,
ratios, they really matter. The ratios make a gigantic difference. So you know, at this stage when we're just kind of, you know, investigating broadly, you know, the flavors are going to be a little forward. But when when we develop blends, quote unquote, you know what I mean, you'll make 4 or 5 different ones with slightly different ratios, because it's really I think it's really surprising sometimes how much a little difference makes a big effect on the flavor. If anybody has experience baking, you probably know exactly what I mean by that. It's a different cookie. We've got the ginger orange here. It's more ginger than orange, huh? It is. Good. I like it. Yeah. Yeah. Probably gonna, that one goes to the honey, I think. So something I'd like to touch on is sweetening our teas. You know, especially now that we're getting into some of these you know, earthier flavors, I would say. Honey, it's classic, you know, but honey also brings along its own like flavors. You know what I'm saying? Different. I mean, I'm not sure if we've all tried a bunch of different honeys, but it'll make a difference. So if you're really happy with exactly what your flavor is at, I'd recommend making some simple syrup or just using just plain white sugar. You know, raw sugar if you prefer. And you can make a simple syrup if you just boil some water and then mix an equal amount of water and that sugar together. You stir it, and then all the sugar will dissolve, and then you can pour that into your tea. That's a really nice, clean way to add some sweetness to your tea. If you don't want to go down the honey road, people also use agave nectar. They've got other, you know, sweetening liquids like that, but why overcomplicate things? If you know any local beekeepers, you should be using local honey, because it actually helps with allergies, you know, to local pollens, enjoying local honeys. So, you know, just to kind of add to the healing capacity of a cup of tea, right? If you're feeling sick with your allergies, you know, drink some like we were talking about lemongrass, ginger, anise. You put a nice dollop of local honey in there, and that'll work across the board. You know, you gotta sending in the troops. Does anybody else have any notes that they want to share on the blends that they made, or maybe the experience of the clove orange? Anything like that? So I'm going to prepare myself another cup. We've got a half hour left, so we're probably going to make 2 more cups of tea in this time, and then everybody can go use the bathroom. So I think what I'm going to do for this one, the last blend that we're going to do, we're going to mix some of the black tea with an herbal blend. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to start to think about what I might want to blend together for that. So I'm going to try cinnamon, coriander, ginger, rose. That's what I'm going to do. Cinnamon, coriander. Don't be afraid of the coriander, it's really good. So I'm noticing that my own tea bag on this one is a little, it's a little bigger than the last one that I made. That's okay. You know, I'm just noting it in my brain. There's no wrong way to brew a cup of tea. We'll be enjoying this next out of the Jess Stefan handmade cup. You know, support local. Oh wow! I don't know about you guys, but I can really smell the clove orange right now. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I think I'm going to take this opportunity in just a moment to show y'all a couple of the other methods that we can use for brewing tea. Because I set us all up so that we could do this in this way, and try making blends. So I gave everybody the tea bags. These are pretty good tea bags. I've had fill your own tea bags in the past that are really small. And when there's not enough room for the tea to brew, it doesn't release all of the flavors properly. So it's one of the reasons that I opted for these bags. But they do also have like these bigger ones that you can seal with an iron. Actually, give me a moment. I have some of those. These are really nice. These are big, tall bags. You can fill it up like this. So if we start talking about making a pot of tea as opposed to just a cup of tea. You know, we're going to be eating a lot more herb. And so with these small tea bags, if you just stuff a tea bag, you're really going to have a lower quality pot than if you were to use something bigger. So, just a moment. So, moving away from paper brewing, they've got things like this. This is a tea basket. You know, you'll also see like a tea ball they have. Sometimes there's like a handle that you squeeze and the thing opens. Other times it's like this where it screws on. These are cool. You see, it's a fine mesh. Maybe you can see that. You can kind of see that. Funky. So they have ones that have a fine mesh, and they have ones that have a coarser mesh. I personally like the finer mesh, especially because I like to mess around with lemongrass and certain ingredients. You know, it'll just be all in your cup. But those, same as the conversation with the tea bags, you run the risk of like overpacking, basically, and then not getting as high quality of a cup of tea. All the flavors don't really come out. So they got these things. This is my favorite. This is my favorite way to brew tea. It's like a fancy thing that you get if you're really into making tea. They have them, you know, they're not that expensive, but I'm going to show you. It's fun. So we can imagine that there's tea in here and it's floating around. It's happy because it has as much possible room to infuse and to steep. So all the flavors are gonna be able to get out. And then, you know, we let it brew for as long as we need. And then there's a valve on the bottom. So I put it on my cup and it's great. You know, I could stop it and then the tea stays in there. So if I'm, you know, making tea for a party, for a tea party, put a bunch in here, make it more of a concentrate, and then give every guest, you know, a little bit of concentrated tea, top that off with hot water, and then, you know, we're in business. And I don't have to go for the big teapot. Oh, well, thank you. So I've got this big teapot, which is fun. You know, everybody should have a big teapot. It's just like a good thing to have. But it takes a lot of water. And then it's kind of the situation where like, I need to be able to boil enough water because if you know, it's more of a thing when you scale up. So if I'm feeling lazy and I don't want to do the work for the big teapot, you know, pull out the tea basket and all that. And I'll use that happy thing. So all that's to say, there's technologies out there, you know, that are meant to, you know, make your brewing experience as, you know, enjoyable as it can be. You know, nothing is to be taken for granted in how we engage with tea, right? And what we're talking about here is loose leaf tea and herbal blends. So, you know, all of this stuff aside, you just go to the store and, you know, buy a bunch of tea bags, you know, no harm, no foul. There's nothing wrong with that. This one smells good. I'm a big fan of what cinnamon and coriander do together when you brew them. It just makes a really nice, even smell. And one of the things that I like to do when I make, a spiced blend is put the rose petal into the spice blend. It really, really, there's almost like a gap in the flavor profile with a lot of the spices that rose just fills in so nicely. What blends do we have going on out there?
I did ginger, coriander, and some of the orange peels. And I think that my ginger kind of overpowered everything. It's mostly gingery. I tried to like only put a little bit, but I could have put more of everything else too, maybe.
Yeah, ginger is a power player. He likes to bring it to the table. And the coriander, it's a subtle thing too. It just kind of, it fills it out. It's like a background singer. Now it's the last cup that we're gonna brew is gonna be a spice blend along with the black tea. So we're gonna, just kind of bring it all back together, because at that point we'll have made a chai masala tea. We'll get all the way there. But you'll notice how the tea is really gonna sort of foreground everything, and it's gonna give it more body, fill in a lot of those gaps. I personally find it fun to try making the blends without a tea, just because I don't know, it's really exciting when you get somewhere really good and the flavors just kind of do something, like they just sing just right together. Just give me a moment here. I'm trying to get my computer charged. So, to do this last one, if we're able to grab like a secondary little vessel, another little cup or bowl or something, I think we're going to be better off if we make like a slightly larger blend and then just brew a scoop of it. Because we want to get our proportions a little more right on with the tea. So I'll give everybody a minute to go and gather something for that. One other ingredient that I want to mention to you all, I didn't include it in these kits because I was sourcing everything and this stuff is really expensive, but cardamom pods. Cardamom pods are one of the most incredible things. Recommend sometime trying to find yourself some cardamom pods. Just put one in, just put two in the cup. Oh man, they're the best. Especially if you get a good chai blend, you put some cardamom pods in there, some cardamom seeds even. That'll help get you there. But cardamom's like its own party. Just want to throw it out there. So what I'm going to make for my last blend here, I'm going to take a scoop, I think, of 4 different ones, and then I'm going to do 1 scoop of the black tea. So it'll be a proportion of 4 to 1 herbs and spices to tea. Where'd you go? Oh, it's up to you. Yes. We can brew the cloves. The cloves taste really nice. Okay. That looks great.
Okay.
Can't go wrong. Okay. Cool. 1 scoop of the black tea.
You've got it, President.
So, I'm gonna take this. So, we'll take our little blend, and we'll stir it up. And then smell it. Decide if you're happy. So over here, we did clove, coriander, aniseed, rose, mixed with the black tea. So now I'm going to take this full blend, scoop it into a tea bag, and we'll see where we've gone. So tea making is a really good note-taking activity if you want to really start to develop your own flavors. Like what we just did is extremely repeatable, right? We just took made a simple ratio, and if you write it down anywhere you go, you could tell somebody exactly what this is. 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1. And for the sake of this class, it's interesting because they're all going to be a blend of 4 to 1 herb and spice to tea. And again, that Assam black tea that I gave everybody, I picked that one specifically of the black teas because Assam tea, it's full bodied, it's got a strong flavor, and it's what is traditionally used in masala chai blends, and it stands up really well to milk and to sugar, right? Because a lot of Indian tea actually does have milk and sugar in it as well. That's part of it. To each their own. What blends do we have over there?
I did some coriander, I think some cinnamon, some anise, and some rose petals with the black tea too.
Mm.
I have a lot in there.
So, as we near the end of our time here, hopefully we have our last cup of tea just about brewing, if not just about brewed.
What's the kitty's name?
Midnight.
It's so cute.
He's an old boy. Oh, and he says goodbye.
Stage fright. And I'd like to make note of the fact that Jackie here made this mug. Amazing work.
Love the patterns.
Mhm. So, how's your last cup of tea?
It's really good. I can't believe I never thought to like make my own blends and stuff. It's gonna like open like a whole new world for me.
Oh, I'm glad. I ordered everything from SF Herb, which is an online company. They're pretty good. They're pretty good. They get things here really fast. There's a few other companies like Mountain Rose, and I think it's called Star West. And they're like, I think they're all organic. They're really nice, but that's expensive stuff. If you're looking in town, Green's Nutrition is one of my favorite places to go. They've got their herb vault, and you can go in there and you can pick out whatever you want. You can even go wandering and explore different blends. It's it's fun. It's really fun.
Yeah, thank you for hosting this. I'm excited to try and make some blends myself.
So welcome. Thank you for participating.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. Elazar, are we good to wrap up?
I think so. I'm just drinking tea at this point. I think we all are.
I'm just chilling. I'm eating nuggets, but
Cheers.
cheers, everybody. All right. So, does anyone have any last questions or comments? Anything they'd like to say? No, we're all good. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us today. I'm gonna go ahead and end the meeting soon. But Elazar, is there anything you'd like to plug? Like your Insta?
No, not really. I mean, I guess I should. You can usually find me over at Hatch Workshop. That's we're a nonprofit makerspace, wood shop, metal shop, ceramic studio. Help you make things. Come hang around, paint some stuff, whatever. Yeah, you can find that online. But just to this point, I think really making sure that we take the time in our days to slow down, relax, and engage with yourself a little bit. Um, you know, the connection to Hatch really is in craft, right? And appreciating the way that things are made, and learning more about that, digging deeper into that, so that we gain a broader appreciation for the world. But all I really want to say is thank y'all for hanging out, making tea, piercing some oranges.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and end our meeting now. Bye, everybody. Bye.